The fall of Earth. The skies over Earth burned crimson as the Zarkonian invasion fleet descended upon the planet. Humanity, despite its rapid technological advancements over the past century, found itself woefully unprepared for the onslaught that followed. The Zarkonians, a warrior race from the depths of the Andromeda Galaxy, had set their sights on Earth as their next conquest. Commander Sarah Chen stood atop the ruins of what was once the Pentagon, her eyes fixed on the horizon where pillars of smoke rose from the wreckage of fallen cities. The last bastion of human resistance, a hodgepodge coalition of military forces from around the world, was crumbling under the relentless assault of the alien invaders. Status report. Sarah barked into her comm device, her voice hoarse from days of shouting orders and breathing in the acrid smoke of battle. "It's not good, Commander," came the reply from Dr. Ethan Rodriguez, the lead scientist of Project Lazarus. "We've lost contact with our forces in Europe and Asia. Africa is dark. South America is holding on by a thread, but it won't last long." Sarah closed her eyes, allowing herself a brief moment of despair before steeling herself once more. "And Project Lazarus?" "We're ready," Ethan replied, a hint of hope in his voice. "The cryopods are operational. We can preserve a small group of humans, our best and brightest, until the time is right to reclaim our world." It was a desperate plan, born from the realization that humanity could not win this war, at least not now. Project Lazarus proposed to place a select group of humans into cryogenic sleep, hidden away in a secret facility deep beneath the Earth's surface. They would sleep for centuries, perhaps millennia, until the Zarkonian Empire weakened, or until humanity's allies in the stars could come to their aid. Sarah made her way through the rubble-strewn streets of Washington, D.C., dodging energy blasts from Zarkonian fighters that strafed the city. The entrance to the underground facility was hidden beneath the ruins of the Smithsonian, a fitting place for humanity's last hope to slumber alongside the relics of their past achievements. As she descended into the facility, Sarah was greeted by a somber group of scientists, soldiers, and civilians, the chosen few who would carry the torch of humanity into an uncertain future. Among them stood Captain Marcus Reeves, Sarah's second-in-command and closest friend. "Are you sure about this, Sarah?" Marcus asked, his eyes betraying the fear he tried so hard to hide. "Sleeping while our world burns. It feels wrong." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's not about what feels right, Marcus. It's about survival. We can't win this war today, but maybe, just maybe, we can win it tomorrow." Dr. Rodriguez approached, tablet in hand. "Commander, we're ready to begin the cryogenic process. We have enough pods for 200 individuals. The facility's fusion reactor should keep us powered and hidden for at least 1,000 years." Sarah nodded, her throat tight with emotion. "Begin the procedure, Doctor. And may whatever gods are out there watch over us." One by one, the chosen few entered their cryopods. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, artists, a cross-section of humanity's greatest minds and talents. Sarah watched as Marcus entered his pod, giving her one last salute before the lid sealed shut. As the last pod was filled, Sarah turned to Dr. Rodriguez. "Is there anything else, Doctor?" Ethan hesitated, then handed her a small device. "This is a quantum-entangled communicator. Its counterpart is with a group of human colonies we managed to establish in secret beyond our solar system. If they survive, if they thrive, they may be able to wake us when the time is right." Sarah took the device, marveling at the hope it represented. With a nod of thanks, she entered the last cryopod. As the lid began to close, she took one last look at the facility that would be their tomb and their cradle. The cryogenic process began, and Sarah felt the cold seep into her bones. Her last thoughts before unconsciousness took her were of Earth, its blue skies, its vast oceans, its bustling cities. She silently vowed that one day, somehow, humanity would reclaim its home. Above ground, the Zarkonian forces celebrated their victory. The last pockets of human resistance were crushed, and Earth was declared a conquered world. The alien invaders began the process of reshaping the planet to suit their needs, unaware that deep beneath their feet, a spark of humanity remained, waiting to reignite. As centuries passed, Earth changed. The Zarkonian Empire expanded across the Milky Way, subjugating world after world. But empires, no matter how vast, are not immune to the ravages of time. Internal conflicts, resistance from other species, and the sheer logistics of maintaining control over such a vast territory began to strain the Zarkonians' grip on power. And in the depths of a hidden facility on a blue planet they thought they had fully conquered, 200 humans slept on, their bodies preserved, their minds filled with dreams of reclaiming their home and their destiny among the stars. Little did the Zarkonians know that their greatest challenge was yet to come, for when humanity awakened, it would do so with a vengeance that would shake the very foundations of their empire. Awakening to a changed galaxy. The first thing Sarah Chen felt as consciousness returned was a deep, pervasive cold. Her eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the dim blue light of the cryopod. For a moment, disorientation gripped her. Had it worked? How long had they slept? The pod's lid hissed open, and Sarah sat up, her muscles protesting after centuries of disuse. Around her, other pods were opening, their occupants stirring to life. Dr. Rodriguez was already up, checking vitals, and helping others out of their pods. "Commander Chen," Ethan said, his voice raspy from long disuse. "Welcome back to the land of the living." Sarah swung her legs over the side of the pod, testing her strength. "How long, Doctor?" Ethan consulted a nearby console. According to the facility's chronometers, just over 500 years. The weight of that number hit Sarah like a physical blow. 5 centuries, everyone they had ever known, everyone they had left behind, all long dead. Earth had been under Zarkonian control for half a millennium. As the rest of the sleepers awakened, Sarah and Marcus began organizing them. Scientists checked the facility systems, ensuring that their long sleep hadn't compromised their equipment or supplies. Engineers began powering up long-dormant technologies they had preserved for this moment. It was Captain Helena Vasquez, their communications expert, who made the first breakthrough. "Commander," she called out, excitement evident in her voice, "I'm picking up a signal on the quantum-entangled communicator." Sarah rushed over, her heart pounding. This could be the lifeline they needed, contact with the human colonies they had sent out into the stars centuries ago. The message that came through was garbled, distorted by time and distance, but its meaning was clear. "Earth sleepers, time has come. Galaxy changed. Meet us at the coordinates." "Can you clear it up?" Sarah asked, leaning over Helena's shoulder. Helena shook her head. "This is the best we can get. The quantum entanglement has degraded over time. But I've got the coordinates. They're in a system about 50 light-years from Earth." Sarah turned to the assembled group, her mind racing with the implications. "All right, people. We've slept for 500 years, but our mission hasn't changed. We're here to reclaim Earth and secure humanity's future. But first, we need to understand what we're up against." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. "Commander, I've been analyzing the atmospheric readings from our surface probes. The good news is that Earth's biosphere has largely recovered from the war. The bad news is that there's clear evidence of ongoing Zarkonian occupation." Marcus, now fully awake and in military mode, joined the conversation. "We need intel, and we need it fast. I propose we use the stealth shuttle we developed before the fall. It's designed to evade Zarkonian sensors. We can do a quick recon of the system, and then make for these coordinates." Sarah nodded in agreement. "Assemble a team, Marcus. You, me, Dr. Rodriguez, and Captain Vasquez. The rest of you, continue bringing our systems online and prepare for our return. If things go sideways up there, you're humanity's backup plan." As the chosen team prepared for their mission, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and dread. What would they find on the surface of their changed world? And who, or what awaited them at the mysterious coordinates. The stealth shuttle, a sleek black vessel designed to absorb and deflect sensor scans, slipped out of the hidden hangar and into the night sky. As they ascended, the team got their first look at Earth after 500 years of alien occupation. The continents were largely recognizable, but strange, geometric patterns were visible on the surface. Vast Zarkonian cities and industrial complexes. What struck Sarah most, however, was the apparent lack of heavy defenses. They'd grown complacent, Marcus observed, his tone a mix of anger and satisfaction. They think they've won completely. As they broke free of Earth's atmosphere, they encountered their first major shock. The space around Earth was busy with traffic, not just Zarkonian ships, but vessels of various designs and origins. "My God," Helena whispered, her eyes wide as she studied the sensor readings. It's like Earth has become a galactic hub." Dr. Rodriguez's fingers flew over his console. "I'm picking up communications in dozens of languages, most of them unknown to us. The Zarkonians seem to be using Earth as a central point in some kind of interstellar empire." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. Earth, their home, had become the heart of the empire that had conquered them. It was a bitter irony, but it also presented opportunities she was eager to exploit. "All right, we've seen enough," Sarah declared. "Helena, set a course for the coordinates we received. Let's find out who our mysterious benefactors are." The journey to the provided coordinates took several days, during which the team pored over the data they had gathered. They learned that the Zarkonian Empire, while still powerful, was not the monolithic force it had once been. Other species had been incorporated into its structure, some willingly, others through conquest. There were whispers of resistance movements, of splinter factions within the empire itself. As they approached their destination, a star system with a single habitable planet, they were met by a small fleet of ships unlike anything they had ever seen. Sleek, organic-looking vessels that seemed to flow through space rather than push against it. A transmission came through, and a face appeared on their view screen. A face that was unmistakably human, yet subtly different. Eyes slightly larger, skin with a faint luminescence, hair that seemed to shift colors in the light. "Greetings, sleepers of Earth," the figure said, a warm smile on their face. "I am Admiral Zara Okafor of the Free Human Alliance. On behalf of your descendants and the coalition of free peoples, I bid you welcome to the year 2735. We have much to discuss." As their shuttle was escorted to the planet's surface, Sarah and her team exchanged looks of wonder and trepidation. They had awoken to a galaxy far more complex and dangerous than they had imagined. But with complexity came opportunity, and Sarah was determined to seize it. The human race, it seemed, had not only survived but had found its place among the stars. Now, with the awakening of Earth's lost children, the next chapter in humanity's story was about to unfold, a chapter that would reshape the galaxy itself. Building the Resistance. The capital city of New Terra sprawled before them, a harmonious blend of advanced technology and natural beauty. As Sarah and her team were escorted through its streets, they marveled at the diversity of life around them. Humans walked alongside aliens of various species, all seemingly coexisting in peace. Admiral Zara Okafor led them to a grand building at the city's center, the headquarters of the Free Human Alliance. Inside, they were introduced to a council of leaders, both human and alien. "Welcome, children of Earth," a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin said, bowing slightly. "I am Sandor, representative of the Lumine. We have long awaited your awakening." Sarah stepped forward, still struggling to process the strange new world she found herself in. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Commander Sarah Chen. We have so many questions." Zara nodded understanding. "And we have much to tell you. Please, sit. This may take some time." Over the next few hours, Sarah and her team received a crash course in 5 centuries of galactic history. They learned of how the human colonies, forewarned by Earth's fall, had gone into hiding, slowly building their strength and forming alliances with other species oppressed or threatened by the Zarkonian Empire. The Empire is not what it once was, Xandor explained, his voice a melodious whisper. Centuries of expansion have left it overextended, corrupt. Many within its borders yearn for freedom. Zara continued, "We've been fighting the Shadow War for decades, liberating worlds at the Empire's edges, building a coalition of free peoples. But Earth remains the key. As the Imperial Center, it's the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. More importantly, it holds deep symbolic value for both the Empire and for all human-descended peoples." Marcus leaned forward, his military mind already racing with possibilities. "You want to liberate Earth?" "Yes," Zora confirmed. "But more than that, we believe that freeing Earth could be the tipping point that brings down the entire Zarkonian Empire. And we believe that you, the sleepers of Earth, are the key to making that happen." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been quietly absorbing everything, spoke up. "How? We're hopelessly out of date. Our technology, our knowledge." Xandor's skin rippled with colors that seemed to convey amusement. "On the contrary, Doctor, your minds, unburdened by centuries of imperial propaganda and restrictions, may see solutions we cannot. And your technology, while primitive in some ways, may hold the key to breaching imperial defenses." The meeting continued late into the night. Plans were made, strategies discussed. The sleepers would be integrated into the Free Human Alliance, bringing their unique perspectives and hidden technologies to bear against the Empire. Over the following weeks, Sarah and her team worked tirelessly to catch up on centuries of scientific and cultural development. They were amazed by the advancements: quantum communication, gravity manipulation, even the beginnings of faster-than-light travel. But they also found areas where humanity's old knowledge could be combined with new discoveries to create powerful new technologies. Dr. Rodriguez collaborated with Lumine scientists to develop a new form of stealth technology, combining Earth's old radar-absorbing materials with the Lumine's mastery of light manipulation. The result was a cloaking device that could render ships nearly invisible to Imperial sensors. Captain Vasquez worked with communication experts from a dozen species to create a galaxy-wide encrypted network for the Resistance. Using a combination of quantum entanglement and old Earth spread spectrum techniques, they built a system that allowed real-time coordination of forces across vast distances. Marcus threw himself into studying the new forms of warfare that had developed. He was particularly intrigued by the Volcarin, a species of silicon-based life forms who could interface directly with machines. Together, they developed new tactics combining human unpredictability with Volcarin precision. But it was Sarah who made perhaps the most significant contribution. Drawing on her knowledge of Earth's long history of resistance movements and asymmetric warfare, she helped design a galaxy-wide insurgency. Sleeper cells were activated, supply lines disrupted, and Imperial loyalties tested. "We won't win this war with a single grand battle," Sarah explained to the Alliance leadership. "We won't win this war with a single grand battle," Sarah explained to the Alliance leadership. "We'll win it by 1,000 cuts, by turning the Empire against itself, by making every world, every ship, every soldier question their loyalty." Her strategy was met with both excitement and trepidation. It was bold, risky, and utterly human in its audacity. But as the weeks turned to months, and the months to a year, the results began to speak for themselves. Across the galaxy, Imperial supply lines were disrupted by precision strikes. Colonial worlds, long restless under Zarkonian rule, erupted in carefully coordinated rebellions. Whispers spread through the ranks of the Imperial fleet, tales of the long-lost humans of Earth returning to reclaim their homeland. But the Empire was far from defeated. As news of the growing rebellion spread, the Zarkonian leadership tightened their grip. Loyal worlds were fortified, rebel sympathizers were purged, and Earth itself was turned into an impregnable fortress. "They're scared," Marcus observed during a strategy meeting. For the first time in centuries, the Zarkonians are truly afraid. Zara nodded, her bioluminescent hair pulsing with a mix of emotions. Fear makes them dangerous, but it also makes them predictable. They're pulling back, consolidating their forces around key worlds. Sarah saw the opportunity immediately. Then we strike at their heart. We take Earth. The room fell silent. Even after a year of preparation, the idea of assaulting the Imperial Center seemed like madness. Earth was defended by the largest concentration of Zarkonian military might in the galaxy. Xandor, ever the voice of caution, spoke up. Commander Chen, even with our combined forces, a direct assault on Earth would be suicide. Sarah smiled, a plan already forming in her mind. Who said anything about a direct assault? Over the next few days, Sarah outlined her strategy. It was daring, complex, and relied heavily on the unique combination of old Earth tactics and new alien technologies they had developed. The plan called for a multi-pronged approach. First, they would use their new stealth technology to infiltrate small teams onto Earth's moon, establishing a hidden base right under the Empire's nose. From there, they would launch a series of surgical strikes on Earth's orbital defenses, using the Volcrans' machine interfacing abilities to sow chaos in the Imperial fleet's systems. Meanwhile, their galaxy-wide insurgency would coordinate a massive series of attacks on key Imperial worlds, drawing away as many defenders as possible from Earth. The Free Human Alliance fleet, augmented by ships from a dozen allied species, would engage the remaining Imperial forces in a pitched battle. But the true key to victory lay with a small strike team led by Sarah herself. Using technology reverse-engineered from the old Project Lazarus facility, they would infiltrate the Imperial Palace, in what was once Washington, D.C. Their goal, to capture or eliminate the Zarkonian Emperor and broadcast a message of liberation to the entire galaxy. As the final preparations were made, Sarah found a quiet moment alone with Marcus. They stood on a balcony overlooking New Terra, the alien sky painted with colors they were still getting used to. "Do you really think this will work?" Marcus asked, his voice quiet. Sarah took a deep breath, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, their long-lost home. "It has too," she replied. "Not just for us, not just for Earth, but for every being in this galaxy who has lived under the Empire's boot." Marcus nodded, then surprised Sarah by pulling her into a tight embrace. "Whatever happens," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I'm glad I woke up to this time with you." Sarah returned the embrace, allowing herself a moment of vulnerability. "So am I, old friend. So am I." As they broke apart, Sarah's comm unit chirped. It was time. The final briefing was about to begin, and after that, they would embark on the most audacious liberation campaign in galactic history. Sarah squared her shoulders, her eyes glinting with determination. "Let's go remind the galaxy why humanity should never be underestimated." With that, they turned and walked back into the Alliance headquarters. The final battle for Earth, and for the future of the galaxy, was about to begin. The first strike. The depths of space were silent, but within the stealth ship Lazarus, named after the project that had preserved humanity's last hope, tension crackled like electricity. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the blue-green orb growing larger in the view screen. Earth, their long-lost home, now the center of an empire that had subjugated much of the known galaxy. "Stealth systems holding," reported Helena Vasquez, her fingers dancing over the controls. No sign of detection from Imperial forces. Sarah nodded, her throat tight with emotion. After 500 years of sleep and another of preparation, they were finally here, ready to take back what was rightfully theirs. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. Across the solar system, carefully placed Alliance ships activated their transmitters, flooding Imperial communications with a cacophony of false alarms, distress signals, and phantom fleet movements. As planned, the Imperial defense grid lit up like a Christmas tree, its attention scattered to the far corners of the system. Under the cover of this electronic chaos, Sarah's strike team made their approach to Earth's moon. Using a combination of Luminae light-bending technology and good old-fashioned Earth stealth systems, they slipped past the orbital defenses undetected. The lunar landing was textbook perfect, the ship touching down in the shadow of a crater on the far side of the moon. As the team disembarked, Sarah couldn't help but pause, looking up at the Earth hanging in the black sky. So close, yet still so far. "Commander," Marcus called softly, breaking her reverie. "We're ready to move." Sarah nodded, refocusing on the mission at hand. They had precious little time to establish their forward base before the Empire realized something was amiss. The next 48 hours were a blur of activity, hidden caches of equipment, buried centuries ago by forward-thinking resistance planners, were unearthed and activated. A state-of-the-art command center took shape within the lunar rock, shielded from Imperial scans by layers of technology both ancient and cutting-edge. As the base neared completion, Sarah received word that the galaxy-wide insurgency had begun. Reports flooded in of simultaneous uprisings on 100 worlds, Imperial fleets drawn into dozens of brushfire wars across the spiral arms of the Milky Way. "It's time," Sarah announced to her team. "Prepare for Phase 2. From the lunar base, they launched a series of precise strikes against Earth's orbital defenses. Vulcan interface specialists, their crystalline bodies glittering in their environment suits, linked directly with Imperial systems, sowing confusion and chaos. Weapon platforms turned on each other, shield generators faltered, and for precious minutes, holes appeared in Earth's seemingly impenetrable defenses. Through these gaps, the main Alliance fleet arrived, ships of a dozen designs and species united in common cause. The space around Earth erupted in furious battle, energy weapons and gravity bombs lighting up the night sky for those on the surface below. But even as the space battle raged, Sarah led her small strike team towards the surface. Their ship, cloaked and running silent, slipped through the chaos towards a very specific target: the Imperial Palace, built atop the ruins of what had once been Washington, D.C. As they made their final approach, a transmission came through from Admiral Zara Okafor, commanding the Alliance fleet. "Commander Chen, we've breached their outer defenses, but we're taking heavy losses. Whatever you're going to do down there, do it fast." Sarah's jaw tightened. They had known this would be a costly battle, but the reality of it still stung. "Understood, Admiral. We're going in." The strike team's ship landed in what had once been the National Mall, now a vast plaza surrounded by towering alien architecture. As they disembarked, Sarah was struck by the strange mix of familiar and utterly alien. The Washington Monument still stood, but it was dwarfed by the looming spires of the Imperial Palace. "Remember," Sarah said to her team as they activated their personal stealth fields, "our primary objective is to reach the Emperor. Capture if possible, eliminate if necessary. But above all, we need to get to their central communications array. The message we broadcast from there could turn the tide of this entire war." With that, they moved out, slipping through the shadows of a world that had once been theirs. Imperial guards patrolled the grounds, their attention divided between the battle raging in orbit and the reports of unrest across the planet. Using a combination of Earth's ancient access tunnels and the Luminae's phase-shifting technology, the strike team infiltrated the palace itself. They encountered resistance, elite Zarkonian guards and advanced security systems, but the element of surprise was on their side. As they fought their way deeper into the palace, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of bitter irony. Here they were, fighting to liberate a planet that had been stolen from them, using tactics and technologies that blended Earth's past with the galaxy's future. Finally, after what felt like hours of tense combat and stealth maneuvers, they reached the heart of the palace. The doors to the Imperial throne room loomed before them, ornate and imposing. "This is it," Sarah said, checking her weapon one last time. "Whatever we find in there, remember, this isn't just about Earth anymore. This is about freedom for every species in the galaxy." With a nod to Marcus, who had been by her side through centuries of sleep and a year of preparation, Sarah gave the signal. The doors burst open, and the strike team surged into the Emperor's sanctum, ready to change the course of galactic history. What they found inside, however, was something none of them could have prepared for. Reclaiming Earth. The Imperial throne room was a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows high above. But it wasn't the architecture that brought Sarah and her team to a stunned halt. It was the figure seated upon the ornate throne. The Emperor of the Zarkonian Empire, ruler of 1,000 worlds, was human. "Welcome home," the Emperor said, his voice carrying easily across the chamber. He looked to be in his 50s, with graying hair and eyes that held centuries of knowledge. "I've been expecting you, Commander Chen." Sarah's mind raced, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. "How? Who are you?" The Emperor stood, spreading his arms wide. "I am Thomas Chen, your descendant, the great-great-grandson of your brother, to be precise." The revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. Her brother, who she had left behind when she entered Cryo's sleep, had survived the invasion. His lineage had not only endured, but had risen to rule the very empire that had conquered Earth. "This doesn't make sense," Marcus growled, his weapon still trained on the Emperor. "Why would a human rule the Zarkonian Empire? Why continue their legacy of oppression?" Thomas Chen's face hardened. "Oppression. I have guided this empire for over a century, transforming it from within. Yes, we still call it the Zarkonian Empire, but look around you. Humans hold positions of power throughout the galaxy. We've brought peace and stability to hundreds of worlds." "Peace through subjugation is not peace," Sarah countered, recovering from her shock. "We've seen the rebellions, the unrest. Your empire is built on the backs of countless oppressed species." The Emperor sighed, looking suddenly weary. "And you think your rebellion will bring freedom? Do you have any idea what would happen if the empire fell overnight? Chaos. War on a galactic scale. Billions would die in the power vacuum." For a moment, doubt crept into Sarah's mind. Could he be right? Was their cause just, or were they about to unleash something even worse upon the galaxy? But then she remembered. The fear in the eyes of aliens they'd met on distant worlds. The stories of imperial cruelty. The fundamental human desire for self-determination that had driven them across the stars. "Maybe you're right," Sarah said, her voice steady. "Maybe the fall of the Empire would bring chaos, but it would be honest chaos, the chance for every species, every world, to choose its own path. That's what we fought for 500 years ago, and it's what we're fighting for now." She raised her weapon, aiming it squarely at the Emperor. "Step down, cousin. End this peacefully." For a long moment, Thomas Chen stood motionless, the weight of galaxies seeming to rest on his shoulders. Then, slowly, he nodded. Perhaps it is time. I had hoped to guide the Empire to a gentler future, but maybe that was always an impossible dream." He reached for a control panel on his throne. "I'm dropping the palace's defenses and opening a channel to the Imperial fleet. The next words spoken here will be broadcast across the galaxy. Choose them wisely, Commander." Sarah stepped forward, her heart pounding. This was the moment they had fought for, died for, slept for centuries for. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "People of Earth, citizens of the galaxy, I am Commander Sarah Chen, born on Earth over 500 years ago. I speak to you now not as a conqueror, not as a ruler, but as a fellow sentient being who believes in the fundamental right of all species to live free." As she spoke, battles across the solar system ground to a halt. On 1,000 worlds, beings of every description turned their attention to this unprecedented broadcast. "The Zarkonian Empire as you have known it is no more," Sarah continued. "But this is not an ending. It is a beginning. A chance for all of us, human, Zarkonian, and every other species, to build something new, something just. A galactic community based not on domination, but on cooperation." She paused, looking directly into the camera. There will be challenges ahead, old hatreds to overcome, new systems of governance to build. But I believe that together, we can create a future brighter than any empire could offer. A future where every world, every species, has a voice. As Sarah's words echoed across the stars, the Imperial fleet stood down. Rebellions on 100 worlds erupted in celebration, and on Earth, humans who had known nothing but Imperial rule for generations looked to the sky with new eyes. In the days and weeks that followed, the work of dismantling an empire and building a new galactic order began. It was not easy. There were those who clung to the old ways, and conflicts flared across former Imperial space. But slowly, steadily, a new era dawned. Earth, once the center of an empire, became the heart of a new galactic federation. Ships from 1,000 worlds came to the blue planet, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. In the halls where Zarkonian emperors had once ruled, representatives of countless species now debated the future of the galaxy. And Sarah Chen, the woman out of time who had sparked a revolution, found herself at the center of it all. As she stood on the balcony of the new Federation headquarters, looking out over a Washington, D.C. that blended Earth's past with a multicultural galactic future, she felt a sense of completion. Marcus joined her, grayer now but still standing tall. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this?" he asked. Sarah shook her head, smiling. "End? My friend, this is just the beginning." As the sun set on a free Earth, casting its light on a city where a dozen species now walked side by side, Sarah Chen looked to the stars. Out there, countless adventures awaited. Challenges to overcome, new friends to meet, a galaxy of possibilities to explore. Humanity had reclaimed its home. But more than that, it had found its place in a vast, complex, beautiful universe, and that Sarah knew was the greatest victory of all.